Hey people, how you doing? How your mama doing? Okay, so I figured I would jump on because I said I was gonna do 3 videos. So I better try to be a woman of my word and do 3 videos. So today I figured I would talk about one of the other things that people that I hear very frequently with entrepreneurs and when I'm on strategy sessions with people or having consults with people. One of the things that comes up pretty frequently, let me make sure y'all can hear me, Jesus. Hey, if you can hear me, just say, hey, I can hear you. Because, dang it. Okay. Hopefully, okay, I think I'm good. As you guys come on, say hello, let me know that you're on. And tell me if you can hear me, because for some reason I feel like you can't hear me. So just let me know if you can. Okay, so one of the most common things that I hear people saying as I'm talking to them and working with them is how much they kind of feel like they're all over the place. Sometimes it's because they have a bunch of different ideas. Sometimes it's because they keep switching up their strategy. Sometimes it's because something doesn't work and then they pivot. Right, but for whatever reason, many times I hear people, particularly coaches and consultants, talking about how much they feel. Dang, my face is fat. I'm irritated by that. Okay. A lot of times people talk about how much they're all over the place, right? And there's a pretty good solution, right? Like there's a really good solution for not being all over the place. Anybody want to know what it is? Take a stab at it. Just guess for me. For those of you who are jumping on, let me know that you can hear me. If you're catching the replay, then hashtag replay for me. But yeah, what do you think it is? What do you think is the solution for feeling all over the place? I just can't get a good angle. Like I just can't seem to get a good angle. Okay, so I'll tell you what it is, okay? The solution is being able to have a strong strategy in place in order for you to reach the results that you want to see in your business. Right? So let me give you an example. So let me use this example first because I think it'll hit home for people. So one, I want you to think about Phil Jackson, right? So for those of you who are not sports fanatics, you probably still know who Phil Jackson is. And if you don't, you need to get your life together. The whole life. Get your whole life together. But he is NBA coach, head coach for a number of years. And one of the things that I like to tell people all the time when we're talking about strategy and putting together a game plan for whatever results that you're wanting to see in your business is understanding the importance of your strategy. Because there's literally countless ways to build a business. Like, that's the truth. There's lots of different ways to get to the same end result, which is where people struggle in terms of getting clarity and feeling confused and being all over the place, because there's not one way to do it. There's 20 different ways to get to the same end result. And so one of the things that becomes important, so if we use Phil Jackson as an example, you really have to have a strong gift of teaching and leadership and just this combination of gifts that allows you to be able to think strategically and to be able to put together a strong strategy for where you're wanting to go. And if you yourself are not that person, then you need to find a person who's really good at strategy and whatever it is that you're wanting to do. Why? Because Phil Jackson was a good basketball player, but he was a phenomenal coach. Phenomenal. The thing that he's going to be remembered for is not his basketball skills. Right? The truth is, and here's the thing that I love to hear people say. I was listening to someone talk the other day, and they were talking about how they had, I don't know, I want to say 20 years maybe of years of experience in their area of expertise. And they were talking about how someone who's only let's say only got 2 or 3 years of experience in the same area of expertise, could not be nearly as skilled or gifted. And I'm like, bruh, I completely disagree, right? Here's why. It's because your 20 years of experience is completely valid. Let me be very clear, right? And it does make you more knowledgeable than the average person in your area of expertise. But depending on what that person's gift is, this is where understanding your gift, understanding other people's gifts becomes so important, because there are some things that I'm just naturally gifted at that it would take you, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, to be able to master, right? Strategy happens to be one of those things for me. And so what happens is, when you understand the basis of something, right? Let's use Phil Jackson as an example. So he understands the basics of basketball. There's no question about that, right? He was a basketball player before he was a basketball coach. But guess what? All of the things that he taught his players, he didn't do every single one of those things. Now there's no question that he did some of them, right? Every single play that he taught them, every single skill that he taught them, he did not do himself, or he was not a beast or a master of himself. And yet he is still out here teaching his players how to be a beast. Why? Because the man got 13 different championship rings. So you can dispute whether or not he's a beast or not if you want to, but that's retarded. Excuse me. I seem to be coming down with something, so just excuse my voice. The thing that I want you to understand is how important the strategy is, right? This is how you excel and you exceed in business, is by having a strong strategy, and a strategy that aligns for the lifestyle and the type of business that you want, right? So I talked about this at some point, I'm sure. But here's the place where people go wrong when it comes to really building a strong strategy. They don't understand the difference between your method and your formula. So every single thing that we do in our lives has a method and a formula. Whether we're talking about losing weight, whether we're talking about building our relationship with God, getting married, raising kids, you name it. And they're all principles, right? So let's use healthy relationships, for example. There are principles, which we're going to call the formula, okay? There are principles or a formula to having a healthy relationship. You know them, I know them. We might not necessarily call them principles or formula, but that's what they are. So if I asked you what they were, you would say communication and honesty and trust and spending time, etc., etc. So when we're talking about the formula, we're talking about the non-negotiables. These are things that are absolutely required for people to have a healthy relationship, right? So the first thing I want you to understand about business is that there are non-negotiables, the principles, the formula, right, that are absolutely required in order for you to be successful. Some of us are trying to circumvent or skip steps, like marketing, for example. I'm not going to spend my time on here because I could go on a whole rant. But sometimes we're skipping the things that are absolutely necessary for you to be successful. So you need to understand the formula for whatever it is that you're wanting to do in your business, right? There is a formula for building an e-commerce business. There is a formula for building a coaching business. There is a formula for building a event-based business, right? There's a formula. The formula is the non-negotiable aspects of what you're trying to do. Okay, hopefully that's clear. Here's the part where it gets tricky. The place where you have creativity, the place where you can make your own decision about what you want to do and when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it, is with the method, right? So there are lots of different methods to having a healthy relationship. So for example, you could have a long distance relationship. You could cohabitate or not cohabitate. You could communicate predominantly via video chat, or maybe it's mostly with text, or maybe it's no text and all phone calls, right? That's the methodology, meaning there are lots of different ways to communicate. There's lots of different ways to build trust. There's lots of different ways you can spend time with your partner. But the part that's non-negotiable, aka the formula, is the spending time, the trust, and the communication. And where we get stuck or where we get hung up on is trying to be creative, right, with the method. So the thing that we need to be able to understand is that the formula has to absolutely be there. So when we talk about the formula for business, number one, it's going to vary based on the type of business that you're building. So let's just talk about coaches and consultants, because that's who my ideal client is, right? So for coaches and consultants, and really many other businesses, right, you have to get clear about your target market. You have to get clear about your messaging. You have to get clear about your ideal client. You have to get clear about how to create an irresistible offer and how to price that offer. You have to get clear about your marketing, which is the number one place people get stuck. You have to get clear about how to convert people from potential to paying, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all the pieces that are the formula. All of those are non-negotiable. The method is where you get to be creative. Or are you going to use Instagram? Are you going to use Facebook? Are you going to use LinkedIn? Are you going to use Twitter? Are you going to do email marketing? Are you going to do Facebook ads? Are you going to do Facebook organic? Again, we could go on for days and days and days. But the thing that I want you to understand is the reason why you feel like you're all over the place is because you don't understand what goes into the formula or the method that you're trying to build your business with. Right? So you can't tell me that you have a really good strategy and you have no marketing, right? Because here's the thing, marketing is not negotiable, right? Understanding who your ideal client is not negotiable. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Hilda. Sorry, I didn't say hi to nobody as y'all was coming on. So I want you to understand that in order to get the clarity that you're looking for in your business, because here's the thing, clarity breeds momentum. When you are clear, you're able to move full steam ahead. Right? You're able to walk with confidence. You're able to walk with increased consistency. You're able to get better results. But when you're not clear, that's when you become all over the place. And part of the reason why you're all over the place is because you don't have a strong strategy in place. You don't understand the formula and you don't understand the method. Right? Again, the formula is the non-negotiables of building a business. Right? The marketing, the sales, the branding, the messaging, the products, the market, the ideal client, etc. All those things are non-negotiable, right? That's number one. Most people understand that those are all required, but the part where people get hung up is understanding the method that they're wanting to use. So let me use this as an example, and then I'm gonna get my little black stuff off of here. So let me say this too, because I'll be done forgot. If you know you need a better strategy, if you don't fully understand what it takes to build a strong strategy for your particular, the next launch that you're doing, or your business as a whole, really this is about your next launch, then you need our profitable launch guide. It walks you through the 7 steps that have to go into every single launch that you have. So I think I put the text number up there. If not, I'll drop it in the chat again. You're just texting the word launch to 574-440. No, I'm sorry, 444-0856. But it's in the caption, I believe, too. Okay, so that guide is going to walk you through, well, what does a strong strategy look like? What are the things that I need to be thinking about? What are the things that are included? Right? What are the biggest mistakes that people make? All of that is in the guide. Okay, so what I want you to start thinking about is, what piece of the formula do you not have in place? Where are you experiencing these feelings of being all over the place, right? And how is that tied to your strategy? Because I promise you that if you're feeling all over the place, it's because of one or two things. It's because you don't have a strong strategy in place, or you don't understand what goes in to the method that you're trying to use, right? So I'll use this as an example. So late last night, like 11, 12, I don't even know what time it was, which is late for me. Don't judge me. I did a Q&A in my Facebook group, right? And there were people who were asking me questions around webinars and, basically what they needed to do. And so let's just say that one of the things that you wanted to do in your business was webinars. If it's not webinars, replace it with something you do want to do. Let's just say it's events, right? Whatever it is, there's something that you're wanting to do to be able to generate money. Okay? So this is, hey Shiva, this is where it becomes crucial for you to understand, and I hope you catch this, for you to understand the method and the non-negotiables that go into the method that you're using. So let's just say your desire is to do webinars. Okay? Maybe that's the method that you're wanting to use to build your business. Okay? Well, then the next step for you is to understand what are the non-negotiables for a webinar. This is what we talked about last night in my Q&A in my Facebook group. If you're interested to join the Facebook group, it's called Profitable Launchers with Lachelle Barnett. Profitable Launchers for Coaches and Consultants with Lachelle Barnett. So in the Q&A last night, there were a couple of people asking around webinars. And so we walked through not all, but we walked through many of the pieces of doing a webinar, right? A successful webinar. And here's the thing that I just don't fully understand, is that when I talk to people, many people have tried to do a webinar before, or tried to do an event before, or tried to do a telesummit, or whatever it is that they've tried. And when I asked them how it went, they were like, oh, it went pretty good. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Well, how many people showed up, and how much money did you make, and, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, I didn't make any money. Well, bro, how did it go good if you didn't make no money? Listen, I think that's reasonable, maybe for your first one. But anything past the first one, you ought to be measuring your progress based on whether or not it's profitable or not profitable. For whatever reason, we as entrepreneurs, many of us as coaches and consultants, steer away from putting a monetary value on things. I have zero idea why we do that, but that shit ain't gonna help you in your business. The way you keep scoring business is, are you making money or not? Are you profitable or not? Not did you have a good time? Right? Because I heard somebody say this the other day too. It was a lady talking about when she first started her business and how she was really focused on her passion and her purpose. And she was having a good time, but she wasn't making no money. And I'm like, what the world? There are so many people who are enjoying what they're doing, but they broke. They're not making no money at the thing that they enjoy, which is precisely why so many entrepreneurs get into entrepreneurship, is because they want to do what they love. But guess what? You got to make money from that. So you need to you need to change your mindset around, oh, if this wasn't profitable, then do I need to do it again? Do I need to switch something? Do I need to fix something? Versus, oh, it was great. Anyway, I could go off on a whole nother 20 minutes just talking about how we measure our success. But I won't, because that's not the purpose of this. What I want you to understand is no matter what method you choose to use build your business, then you ought to be very clear about what goes into that. What are the non-negotiables of that? If you're wanting to do a group coaching program or a retreat or a webinar or a telesummit or whatever it is that you're wanting to do in your business, then you need to understand what goes into a successful retreat, what goes into a successful teleseminar, right? There are non-negotiables to everything that you're wanting to do in order for it to be profitable anyway. Now, if you're just out here trying to have fun, then that's different. But don't waste your time by doing all the work around having a webinar and then it not being profitable. That's whack. Like, don't spend all your time doing the event and it not be profitable, because that's whack. I'm just saying. So, if you need a stronger strategy, if you know that you lack clarity on all the aspects that go into having a strong strategy, then you definitely need the guide. Excuse me. I hope you guys are having a fabulous morning or evening or whatever time that you're catching this video. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Understand the formula for building a business, and then understand the method in which you personally need to use in order to grow your business. Like, that's the key. There's lots of different ways to build a business. Lots of different ways. And the person who wants to do the webinar versus the person who only wants to do events, neither one of them is wrong. The key is you need to know what goes into your method, and you need to know what goes into this method. If you're going to do webinars, then you need to understand what goes into having a successful webinar. If you're going to do events, then you need to understand what goes into having a successful event. And by successful, I only mean profitable. That's it. Nothing else. So I hope this was helpful to you. I'm going to jump off of here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, whatever day it is, and whatever day you're catching this video. Peace.